So for today's story, we have an entrepreneur and their trusty program. The entrepreneur one day comes into the office and the programmer says, "Hey, the app's ready to go. All we need is some server space to put it on so the entire internet can access it." The entrepreneur then calls up the local hosting company and orders one server, please. The network engineer took the order and got straight to work installing a new server in a server rack for the entrepreneur. Now, in reality, the network engineer would have to order this, but I couldn't come up with a clever animation for that. The process of installing a new server into a server rack takes time. Didn't happen instantly. And while that time was passing, customers still could not access the site, meaning no sales were made, no business was done, no feedback on the product was gotten. All the entrepreneur could do was wait. When the server was finally installed, the network engineer called the entrepreneur and told him, "Hey, your server's ready." The entrepreneur told the programmer, and the programmer got to work pushing up their code to the server so the entire internet could access it. A little while later, site traffic was up, but unfortunately, because of the site traffic, the speed of the server went way down. So once again, the entrepreneur called up the network engineer and asked for another server. Of course, this was going to cost more money and take more time to install. The network engineer immediately got to work getting another server together and putting it in the rack while the entrepreneur waited. Meanwhile, traffic suffered, site speed did not get better, and the business continued not to make sales because of the slow site speed. At least that was part of it. Again, a little while later, the network engineer called him up and said, "Hey, your second server is ready to go." The entrepreneur told the programmer, who immediately began pushing up code to the second server, which took the load off the first server and made the product as a whole a lot faster, allowing users to browse faster, buy faster, and in the end, the business to make more money. A little while later, the entrepreneur decided they're going to throw a sale, but they learned from their first experience and said, "We're going to throw a sale this big. We're going to need more server space to make sure the site doesn't slow down during the big sale." So the entrepreneur again called up the network engineer and requested even more server space. Of course, more servers and bigger servers cost more money. The entrepreneur and his team kept themselves occupied while the newest batch of servers were being installed. Again, this took quite some time. So they had booted enough servers to handle traffic for the sale. But what happens after the sale when they need to scale back down again? Unfortunately, you've already bought the hardware at that point. Yeah, you could turn it off, but you still have to store it somewhere. Do you want to take it out of the server rack so you have to wait forever to turn it back on again and someone has to reinstall it? All sorts of headaches came along with trying to scale down in that situation. Another problem that I plan to address in more detail in another video is the issue of redundancy. What happens when one of the server racks gets cut off from the internet or power? I've had clients that if they're down for even an hour, they're losing 6 figures every single hour that they're down, which is enough to make anybody cry. So now that you understand the problem, let's talk about the solution. Virtualization on a large scale. It changed the way websites were hosted across the entire planet. At some point, someone came up with the great idea of instead of installing a bunch of little servers, why not boot up one massive server and then host a bunch of smaller virtual servers running on it? In reality, you'd probably have several hundred of those big computers, but that's still better than 10,000 little ones in this scenario. Let's take a look at our hero's journey now that we have virtualization. The programmer could boot up a server instantly. Just a few keystrokes or face slams, whatever you prefer, I'm not judging, without having to call anyone at all or wait for any amount of time, maybe a couple minutes. So since the virtual servers live on a much larger server supercomputer, you can continue to boot up a bunch of these, what we would consider mid to large size servers, but on these supercomputers, they're just tiny. There's not really a ton of limit to it because unless you have the traffic at Google or Amazon, you're going to run out of money before they run out of server space. So knock yourself out. Boot up as many as you want to. But understand that's not always the right solution, just bigger and more servers. And I'll go into more detail about that in future videos. There are better ways to speed up your online product. Another benefit is scaling down is just as easy. So if you want to boot up a bunch of servers for some big traffic event you're expecting, you can just as easily scale back down. So that's virtualization in a nutshell. I hope that helped you understand a little bit more. Again, these videos are designed to be technical, but not so deep down in the details that your eyes glaze over. I'm going to be doing a whole series of these on various other technical aspects that'll help you speed up your web application architecture and infrastructure and allow you to sell more products online, keep up, and better service your customers. If you like this kind of content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's also a link in the show description to the Discord where you can come and chat with me or other people of like-mindedness that are interested in scaling web application architecture as well. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback on this animation. This is the first time I've really gotten into pixel art animation, so bear with me. But if you got any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Again, I'm Matt with Schematical. Have a great night. Again, I'm Matt with Schematical, and look forward to seeing you later. Hi, I'm Matt with Schematical. I don't have a tagline yet. Yeah.